All right. Well, thanks everyone and welcome. I'd like to call to order the Town of Ulysses Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee meeting for December 10th, 2025. It is 5:04. So our first item will be just doing a roll call. Carl, can I start with you?
Carl Pankowski, Planning Board.
Neil Stegeson, Town Planner.
Roxanne Marino, Conservation State Advisory.
I was Elias committee member.
Karen Metter, committee member and BZA member. Allison Weaver, committee member.
Liz Weatherby, town board member and acting chair today. Just one note, because I was just reminded, we do not have our other microphones today. So for us on the steering committee, if we just want to, that's mostly for folks here to hear us. These will connect to the internet. So if we want to just make sure our voices are loud enough, we can, so that everybody can hear. That'd be great. We did get an agenda from Neil's. It was posted to the town website as well. Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda? Anyone have any changes, modifications? I had one for consideration, but want to see what other folks are thinking.
It's a question if incorporation of comments and edits to drafts is like the procedure that the discussion of the procedure we're gonna follow going forward, since we'll have maybe 6 more meetings after this, and we need to have a good plan, right? Okay, so that's gonna be part of that. If not,
Yeah, no,
plan forward and structure, I'd definitely like to see us talk about.
my understanding is that that discussion is kind of how it'll be led by MRB, kind of talking through how they're gonna incorporate our comments from here on out.
Well, and I mean, the committee also talking about how we're gonna work on the comments and the comments of the public, not just what MRB is gonna tell us to do.
Yep.
Right.
The one item that I was considering was just moving the public hearing from item 6 to right after the privilege of the floor, just in case there are folks here who don't want to sit through the entire discussions, but want to get their words on. So if that's something that the steering committee is amenable to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So we're gonna move the public hearing right after privilege of the floor. So with that, I would make a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
Seconded.
Second, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right, great. Our first order of business is just reviewing the minutes from our November 5th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review those? They were posted on the town website as well. Are there any corrections or updates needed to those that anybody saw? No, okay. Then I would
Make a motion to approve the minutes from November 5th.
Now second.
Thanks, Karen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody object or abstain? I don't think I heard anybody. Okay. Now we're going to open up the privilege of the floor. This is an opportunity for the public to provide general comments on the comprehensive plan, specifically on items that are not on the agenda today. Our agenda is kind of high level, so I'll provide a little flexibility there. So if we'll go back and forth between in person and online. And I will get my clock. We have 3 minutes. I'm not going to be rude, but once the 3 minutes are up, I will kind of prod you to wrap things up. If you have comments written, you could always provide them to Carissa for the record.
That's for the privilege of the floor, not the public hearing, right?
Right, yes, right now. Okay. Got my timer. Anybody would like to start for privilege of the floor? Chris? Can't
right
see
then.
everybody. The floor is yours, Chris.
Hi, Chris Kale. Am I coming across for people who are elsewhere? Good. 3110 Du Bois Road. So I wanted to address tonight the concept of agricultural development. We've seen a lot of maps, we've got a lot of information. It turns out there actually has been a lot of money and effort and development put into improving the agricultural lands in the town since our last update of the comp plan, and none of that's reflected. Probably the cons didn't know, and we don't have an active ag committee, but there's acres and acres and acres of improved land that is now much more valuable agriculturally because it's had drainage installed. It's a long-term commitment to farming on that land. And it needs to be reflected just in the same way that residential development would be reflected. It raises the value of the land for agricultural purposes. And frankly, it makes it more likely to succeed in the competition for farmland protection funds from the state as well. So I do think the comp plan should have a map that shows those improved agricultural parcels. As I said, I think it's at this point probably just guesswork, hundreds of acres. Certainly all up and down Perry City Road, Craft Road,
Du Bois.
some along Du Bois, yeah.
Crumbs Corners,
Bunch
yep,
Corner Road.
yeah.
It's like, they brought the equipment down, they did a whole bunch of it. Also, in terms of what the maps look like and what we're doing for farmland protection and preservation. Again, that's one of the biggest changes between the last plan and this plan is that we've apparently kind of given up on the idea of protecting farmland, which doesn't make me happy. I feel like it's great to have affordability as the housing goal, but I don't think you necessarily accomplish that by just saying, oh, we won't protect farmland. So I hope we could go back to the drawing board on that one. I also have this general thought that an element that combined, done?
You can finish your thought if it's quick.
That combined agricultural protection, economic development, community development, and culture would be a really effective one. The economic development is sort of cut and paste, and we're sort of not. I think we could do some imaginative stuff based on the kinds of enterprises we actually have thriving. Thank you.
Thank you. I cannot read that. Is there anybody online who would like
Susan
to?
Sue Ritter.
Oh, Sue Ritter, okay. Jeez, oh, my eyes changed. Anybody online would like to speak during privilege of the floor? If so, you can come off mute or raise your hand. Not seeing anybody, I'll just come back to the room. Anybody would like to speak during privilege of the floor? No. Online? Okay. Then, do I have a motion to close the privilege of the floor?
I'll make a motion to close privilege of the floor.
Thank you, Carl. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Karen. Got tag team going on here today. All in favor of closing privilege of the floor for the meeting tonight?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. For those who are just joining us, we did make a change on the agenda where we brought the public hearing to this point of the meeting. So we're bringing it up in front of the discussion on the draft comprehensive plan. So I would like to remind folks that this is an opportunity to provide comments on the drafts. We would like to ask members to please follow the rules and guidelines for public comments that are on the back of the agenda. They're very simple and straightforward. We will recognize folks on the floor and then on the video, just as we did for privilege of the floor. Once you get up, please state your name and your address clearly so that we can get it on the record. We did open up the public comments to more time last time. I think I'd be amenable and open to discussion with that on the board. But I don't want to have them go more than 5 minutes just in efficiency standpoints. Again, if you have written comments that go beyond that, you can provide them and they'll get on the record, which we all will have copies of. With that 5 minutes, okay?
With me, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
So then we'll do 5 minutes. And with that, I would like to, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to reopen the public hearing.
Tag team again. All right, great. So therefore, who on the floor? Sarah, would you like to step on up? Again, please state your name and address. Thank you.
Sarah Adams, 4 Fall Street, Bloomsburg. Thank you for having this meeting and giving people a chance to make some comments. I have to admit that I'm sort of late to fully absorbing the over 250 pages of the comprehensive plan as it currently stands. And I was thinking about it and realizing that because it's such a dense document, the general public is not going to read this or understand it. I mean, I have background. I was on the City of Ithaca Planning Board for 6 years. I have some background in it, and I find it difficult. What people are going to focus on are the maps, because those are pretty easy to understand. And I have to say, I've sort of gotten a little focused on the map, the land use map in particular. And I'm not understanding what this whole push for mixed residential density out towards South Street Extension, Podunk Road, the assumption that there's going to be water and sewer out there. And if I'm correct, it's something like it mixed medium density is 8 units per acre. That's pretty dense for this area, I have to say. I've also kind of struggled with sort of understanding how this map, land use map, isn't going too far in terms of a comprehensive plan. And really, to me, it's sort of trying to be a zoning map. And I know we have the benefits now of GPS and property lines and all of that, but that even makes it more like a zoning map, to my mind. So I guess my for right now, I'm struggling to understand what that whole, particularly that whole push out there for that medium density residential zone is all about. I think it makes sense, and the 2009 plan certainly looked at sort of nodes along 96 where there was already some infrastructure, some population density, and that is to me a more kind of a comprehensive plan type of map than something that gets this specific. I also have trouble with trying to understand how all of this increased mixed medium density fits in with our concerns about climate change, because all of that is increased, hard surfaces, roofs, roads, impervious surfaces. And overall, I don't find that the plan really, I mean, it talks about climate change, but I don't really find that it offers very many interesting or innovative ideas about how we really are gonna deal, we deal with it. We all know that, you know, the lake is already suffering, all water goes downhill. I feel like there's a conflict there between the housing part of this and the climate change part of this. And I certainly feel like the Lakeshore Conservation Zone needs to be showing up on the map. To say, well, that'll be taken care of in zoning, and yet on the other hand, making this very specific residential zone, which to me is a district is really like zoning, sort of a mixed message. I want to see the conservation zone back on the map, and I really don't want to see an industrial site in the middle of this residential, you know, mixed, medium density residential boom. I just find that sort of baffling. So, I think those are my comments for the moment, and I will eventually submit some written ones as well, but that's what I have for now.
Thank you. You have 26 seconds left. All right. Is there anybody online who would like to speak during the public comments? Again, you have 5 minutes. You can raise your hand or come off mute. Not seeing a hand. We'll come back to the floor in person. Anybody else would like to provide a comment during? Yes.
Okay, Sigrid Powell, 4332 South Street Extension. Very short comment, also concerning what Sarah talked to about, a zoning plan versus an idea-based plan. And I think that whole development, that orange blob there, starting, you know, crossing South Street and then going left and right, is just a suburb. And we all know that suburbs are completely out, same with malls. This has no vision of anything different than, yeah, a suburb that people now trying to get rid of. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Once again, is there anybody online who'd like to speak during the public hearing? Okay, yeah, Chris, I don't see anybody online, so you can come.
Chris Kale, 3110 Du Bois Road. Both the other speakers really kind of focused in the area that I'm interested in, particularly based on the idea of not abandoning the commitment to agricultural protection. I liked the map that we had in the last comp plan in terms of its focus on areas that would work for residential development. And I'm not thrilled at the suburb expansion idea. Similarly, I find the economic development element to be very sort of a ho-hum and ordinary for a community that I think has not ho-hum kinds of attitudes about job creation. I think we have really shown the capacity to have a very unique culture that's extremely desirable, and that's not reflected at all in the economic development. It's just sort of like, oh, we're a bedroom community and everybody goes to work in Ithaca or Binghamton, and you know, that's just not been my experience with this community. I think there's a tremendous number of people who are extremely entrepreneurial, artists, musicians, people who work in tourism and provide cultural opportunities for visitors. And, while that was sort of mentioned, I feel like the vision part of it is kind of missing, and I know, so go write it, Chris. I've been busy, I hit a deer, stuff. But I'm gonna get there. I do feel like one of the important things that needs to be addressed by this committee is when you talk about on existing infrastructure, do you mean you're gonna put suburban houses where there are water lines and no sewer lines? Because that's environmentally reprehensible. They've done it in Lansing, and that is a part of why our lake is so polluted. It's cheap, but I think it's sort of like, the goose that laid the golden egg. People want to live here a lot, and our property values go up because we have this unique culture. We have all these entrepreneurs. We have a wonderful lake that doesn't have HABs all the time. But, if we start running ordinary suburban houses and dumping, having everybody run on septic systems, even though they can get water for cheap. It's just a recipe for environmental catastrophe for the lake. And there's so many of us who have worked so hard to try to protect the lake water quality. I just feel like we should go the distance, and we should look at limiting our residential development to places where we can have public water and sewer. And doing that means some engineering. It means some probably restriction of the areas that are under consideration for denser development. I did like the map that was done that highlighted the area that is what is the name of your program? It's Smart something or other, right?
My program?
There was a program that you folks used that generated an area in the southeast part of the town that was adjacent to jobs and transportation. And I think,
Smart growth.
smart growth,
No.
yeah. It used to be Glenwood. It was a place back in the day, and again, it's areas that are adjacent to not just public water, but also public sewer. And to me, this community has very strong environmental values, and setting up a bunch of suburban development in places where there's public water and not public wastewater is just contrary to me.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody online like to speak? Still not seeing anybody raise their hand. Is anybody else in the public here in person like to speak? Let's make sure everybody has the first chance before we, is that okay? Okay. Anybody else who hasn't spoken? I can't see everybody. No, nobody else? Sarah, if I let you come back up, could it be like a minute?
I certainly agree with most of what Chris was saying. And it seems like there needs to be some connection between housing and economic development, and we can't just become a suburb for Ithaca. And so I totally agree with that. I also thought that, the desire for affordable housing, which is needed and understandable, is not in any way guaranteed in what I see on the land use map that just simply shows medium density housing. And honestly, showing, there was like, one of the pictures was a townhouse that looked like it was in Brooklyn, and I'm like, I don't really, I don't have a sense, I don't have a vision, and I'm a visual person to even know what medium density housing, what you guys are even thinking about. What does that look like? Is it cluster housing? Is it, I mean, I think that that needs to be explained a lot more for the public.
Thank you. We'll go around one more time, just to make sure there's nobody else, anybody else in public, in person here, sorry. Wanna speak during the public comment session, public hearing portion. Seeing no hands, one last call to online. Anybody like to speak during the public hearing? Okay. For the steering committee, I think we should keep this open still through the rest of the meetings, but table it for now. So could I, if that's okay with folks, I'll accept a motion to table the meeting or table the public hearing to the next meeting.
So, oh my God.
No, go for it.
Carl's been on it today.
I know, I'll defer to Carl. And then I'll defer to Karen.
Make a motion to table the public hearing at the next meeting.
Second,
Oh, no, I'm deferring. Okay.
I'll second it. All right, second by Karen. All those in favor? Aye. All right, great. Thank you all very much. Again, please feel free to send comments in, written comments. Come to the town board meetings. You can speak during the privilege of the floor about this, and you can continue to come to our meetings here. And provide comments during both the privilege of the floor and the continued public hearing. So now it's time to dig into our draft comprehensive plan overview. There's a couple items that we want to talk about. And I'm going to bring MRB, Neil, sorry.
Sorry, just quick request, especially if people are gonna leave. Do you want to talk about next meeting? Because we don't have anything scheduled, so that
Yeah,
Go win.
yeah, so people know. Yes, we are looking at 2026, which is crazy. We have done the first Wednesday of every month. That would mean it's the 7th. January 7th would be the first Wednesday. The Wednesdays still work.
It's not gonna work. We have the
We have the
organizational
org
meeting
meeting
on the 7th.
Right,
So-
at 3:30, so we're not gonna be done by then. Do you want to move it to the 14th? I guess, let me step back. Wednesdays still work for folks?
Generally. I mean, a lot of people seem like they've been unable to come, but I don't know if it's because it's Wednesday or not, so I just wonder if we should send out a poll or something, I don't know.
We're getting some feedback from you. I'm sorry. I'm out of here.
Thanks.
But, we can decide depending on hearing from others, because we didn't have quorum for a little while, so.
Yeah,
It'd be nice to make sure since we really don't have, we have to be very focused and working a lot, make sure that we can have the most people possible.
I would agree. I think if we give folks enough heads up, the reasons why, at least the people I talk to aren't here are a variety of mixed reasons. So let's tentatively put it as the 14th. We can just send a message out to the entire steering committee to make sure that for the folks that aren't here. Do we want to move this to 5:30?
Yes. It is really hard to get here from Ithaca by 5 o'clock. There's a lot of traffic coming.
The only issue with 5:30 is gonna go to 7:30 then on those longer days. So I just want to make sure that that's clear for folks. But, okay, so right now tentatively, put in pencil, January 14th, 2026, 5:30 to 7:30. And then we'll confirm with the folks that aren't here, make sure that's okay. We'll confirm with MRB that it's okay for them as well, and we'll put it in, but would be our next meeting as of now.
Liz, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm wondering, is the committee planning to kind of develop a timeline through the end of March? It would be helpful for those of us clerking if we knew what the schedule was gonna be for the next few months. Is it gonna still be the first Wednesday of the month? Is it gonna be more than one meeting a month? Or, you know,
It's gonna be 2 meetings a month.
I think starting in January, we were going back 2 meetings a month. Maybe. Cause right now we have to get this, the target is to finish this by March 31st. That's where we have the contract with MRB through. So. Are folks able and willing to do twice a month for? Do we want to see where we are in January? And do twice in February and twice in March?
Well, I think I
Or
would
twice?
plan, I
in
think I
3
would,
months?
I would try and plan twice. For all 3 months, so that we got time to get it done. And then if we accidentally get ahead, we can always give it to the town board sooner, but
And it sounds like it would be helpful for planning. I think it's true for me and probably others as well. If we at least put some tentative holds on the calendar, so when things increasingly are coming up, we can at least schedule them on Tuesday or Thursday that week, or the prior Wednesday, if it needs to be Wednesday, as much as possible. Probably.
is the third Wednesday a problem with the
That's what
BZA?
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I think that we could schedule one meeting out without checking with everybody, but I'd be highly reluctant to do 6 meetings. Without checking on Wednesdays. I think we need to get the rest of the committee's feedback on that, but I think we could potentially do 2 Wednesdays a month.
So essentially, potentially looking at like the first and the fourth. Because the BZA meets on the third Wednesday.
Those are 2 back to back.
Do we want to do the
Make them
second and
real
the fourth?
close.
The second and the fourth.
Would match up with
What we're doing in
that'd be the
January.
town board meeting, so it'd be the day after the town board meeting, so we wouldn't have any. I think that'd be fine.
No committee meets that day. No standing board does.
Okay,
So right now. Niels, do you mind sending just an email out to the team,
the full board.
making sure that the second and the fourth Tuesday or Wednesday, sorry, of every month. From January, February, and March 2026 from 5:30 to 7:30 would work for our 6 meetings going forward.
Yep.
Yeah, and
But now I'm only scheduling everybody for the 14th for now, and then we'll have discussion during that day, during that meeting. Correct? That's. what I
yeah,
think.
let's pencil it in, because if we need to make sure that the clerk, we have somebody here.
I would plan to schedule for all of them that we can change dates on January 14th.
Okay,
If necessary.
I know that's a new semester for those that work at the colleges, so schedules are changing.
yeah, it seems like Anne has some problems on Wednesdays, so it'd be good to see if her schedule changed.
Yeah, she was available last Wednesday, just
Not this one, no, but I'm saying, so she has Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday. Maybe next semester she has something different.
Yeah.
So it's good to check.
We'll check, so. At a minimum, we'll be all here on the 14th. At 5:30.
But we're gonna try to schedule the the fourth Wednesday.
Second and fourth of every month, yep,
Including January.
Yep.
See if we have to change just.
yep. Yes. Sorry, I should say yes.
Correct.
Alright, so Niels, if you don't mind taking that, that would be great, and we'll definitely keep you in the loop, but that's probably. a Safe plan for now. Alright, so. Back to the agenda and the draft comprehensive plan overview. There's a couple different items we want to talk about, and this is gonna be discussion for MRB and us, so it's not one or the other leading the discussions, just to say that. So Matt and Jessica, hi. Would you be able to provide kind of high level view of the comp plan? And this is more as we have more folks from the public participating, just kind of a reminder to the public, but also just to refresh our memories and our minds as we continue moving forward of what a comp plan is, the purpose, and so forth. So you have the floor.
Great. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here and folks who joined online. I'll start with kind of some legislative foundations, right? So, New York State is one of the states that does not require that a community adopt a comprehensive plan. It's not a requirement of the law. It's a best practice. The particular agencies of the state encourage it for lots of different reasons. But it's certainly not a legal requirement. In the state legislation and as it relates to Ulysses in particular in town law, the town law does provide the town with several options for how a comprehensive plan can be developed, which is to say, who at the town level guides development of a comprehensive plan, right? And so, effectively, what the town law says is the town board can develop a comprehensive plan. The town board can designate the planning board as the entity that facilitates development of the comprehensive plan, or the town board can appoint a special committee, which in your case is what was done here. And then it lays out things that could be included in a comprehensive plan. It doesn't prescribe. It doesn't say what shall be. It shall include these things. But it lays out about 15 areas of planning, things that you all have talked about, things like land use and infrastructure, and environmental stewardship and the like, policy areas that a town should consider in development of a comprehensive plan. One thing that it does kind of prescribe is the adoption process for a comprehensive plan. So it talks about whichever entity is developing the plan, that entity has to hold a public hearing. This committee has gone over and above that requirement and has held multiple public hearings and a couple of solid public engagement exercises. It talks about when it does land on the desk of the town board's going to conduct a public hearing. The town board's going to refer it to the county planning board so that the county planning board can provide you feedback and comments on how your plan aligns with other plans of your neighbors and with the county's overall plan. And then it requires you to engage in environmental review, seeker environmental review. And so the roadmap that this committee created via your procurement process and the agreements that you've put in place amongst each other and with MRB Group takes you through that entire process from very early all the way through environmental quality review and adoption. So, here in New York State, the content of the comprehensive plan and the process by which you develop the content is left largely to local consideration. And so what the best practices tell us is very early in the process, you want to identify some issues that you have seen as critical to the town's development, the town's continued operation, which this committee did. As part of your request for proposals, you highlighted the elements that are here in the comprehensive plan today. Those were included in the original request for proposals. With that, you'll remember our very early conversations were poking at that a little bit to ask you, well, what about capital facilities or infrastructure specifically concerns you? That helps shape the way we look at data and information as it relates to development of plan content. So at that point, we've got a pretty good feeling from this committee about what the focus of the plan should be. So at that point, we create what is commonly referred to as a community profile or an existing conditions survey. That existing conditions survey looks at a whole range of data and information, right? So raw data, things like demographic data, which we draw from a lot of different sources, things like the census information that's available out there. MRB Group subscribes to a whole range of proprietary data that we evaluate issues associated with the town. We look at things like permitting information, existing land uses, condition of infrastructure. This is all data and information that we evaluate. And then particularly in a place at the scale of Ulysses, one of the reasons we love working in a community like Ulysses is we rely very heavily on what we'll call local intelligence, right? You all and your neighbors are local intelligence, right? So my favorite example of local intelligence is Carl. Carl takes it upon himself to do, he tells me he's unsupervised. He has no adult supervision throughout the day. And so he does deep research and in his role with boards and commissions at the town level, he makes it his business to understand the development profile of the town of Ulysses. So when Carl comes to the table, he can say with relative certainty that there's only been 2 new roads built in the town in the last 30 years, right? That's information that we'd love to have and that it would take me months and months and months to ferret out by chasing out the highway superintendent, the county highway folks. And we can certainly confirm it, but Carl has done the research and provides it to us. And so on a whole range of issues, you all and your neighbors have been valuable in helping us shape that community profile, that existing conditions assessment, what's happening here on the ground in Ulysses. I think of it like a map on a wall. You are here. We are here. This is what's happening on the ground in Ulysses today. At that point, we turn to the committee and ask you to establish a vision for where you want to be 15 to 20 years from today. What do you want the town of Ulysses to look like 15 to 20 years from today? The committee did some early work on that, right? Created an initial or provided vision themes, we called them, provided themes associated with the vision that would be aggregated into a draft and then brought to the public to evaluate, to provide feedback on. In development of that vision, we had early public engagement efforts, community forum, focus groups. We had a whole range of focus groups early in this process, and some community surveying. When we land on what we would consider kind of a draft vision, that tells us a lot. That's our North Star. Everything in the plan should flow from the vision. And so from there, we turn to the committee and say, we need to identify some priority areas of focus. A town cannot do everything all at once. We have limited resources, we have limited time, limited staff. And so we asked this committee, what areas of focus will move us most effectively toward our vision? Most effectively toward our vision. And a lot of that was nearly all of that was drawn initially from this committee. And from there, we try to put some meat on the bones, right? Goals, objectives, priority areas of policy. And so at the end, the document that you have paints a picture. Here's where we are today. Here's where we want to be 15 years from now. Here are the big chunky things that we think are going to get us there the fastest. When the board adopts a comprehensive plan, it does a couple of things and it doesn't do a couple of things. One thing it doesn't do is it doesn't prescribe things. So a comprehensive plan is not law. When the town board adopts this plan, it has not codified it. It has not created an ordinance. It has created a policy framework that this board, the sitting town board today, and future town boards are going to use for a variety of things. One of the things I think is most important about the comprehensive plan is it communicates to current board, future board, and the market at large, the community at large, what our vision for Ulysses is, right? We tell the world this is what Ulysses wants to be. And that by itself does lots of different things, but it certainly makes economic development easier to understand, attracts the right type of investors, attracts the right the right kinds of new residents, retains the residents that share your vision for where Ulysses is going to go. So I always say job one of a comprehensive plan is to communicate to the world your intention for where you want Ulysses to be. It establishes for the town board and for your staff priority areas of focus. So what I know about local government is you walk in the front door with a plan. Come in the front door at 7:30 in the morning with your plan under your arm. You sit down at your desk and you're ready to go. And then the phone rings and your plan's out the window, right? So what I always tell folks is, in large part, this is what should staff be doing? How should staff and the board be working when they have discretionary effort to offer, right? There's New York State sets you up with plenty of the M word mandates, right? Plenty of things that you just have to do every single day because you're a town. But what else are you going to do over and above the bare minimum? This plan lays out those priority areas of focus. And in that way, it should help shape board agendas. It should help shape staff work plans. The items in this document, in this plan, are going to help shape and help prioritize your operational decision. It should help you prioritize and develop your budget, right? So each year when you sit down to review how you're going to allocate resources next year, you should look to the comprehensive plan. It's going to provide you guidance on projects you should be undertaking. It's going to provide you guidance on virtually every area of town operations gets touched by this comprehensive plan. So we're going to ask ourselves, what things are we doing today that don't align with the comprehensive plan? Could we be doing less of? And what things that we aren't doing yet could we be doing now or doing more of? And then one of the things that I think is a really important part of comprehensive planning, but a lot of times comprehensive planning gets pigeonholed into, is land use, right? The comprehensive plan is not in total a land use document, right? It's not intended to be, but a very important part of it is land use and how our land will be. How uses will be allocated across our real property. So we talk about land use across a spectrum, and we've talked about this a lot as a committee. Think about a series of maps, right? And we've seen these, and we actually saw them at the last comprehensive plan open house. You have current land use. Current land use is what's happening on the ground right now. Irrespective of law, irrespective of market, current land use is what's actually happening on the ground today. Current land use is informed by, but not totally aligned with, zoning. So you have current land use and you have zoning. Zoning is regulation that says this is what should be happening on the ground today. Sometimes they're the same and sometimes they're different. They're different because land use existed before zoning, right? Carl pointed out some 1800s era homes on the map, and I'm certain there was not a zoning map in 1830 or 1850, right, Carl? So someone built a house there, even though nobody told them they could or should. Land use could be different from zoning because of pre-existing non-conforming uses, because of variances. A zoning board may have granted a variance to the zoning regulations. And sometimes people just sneak them in. Sometimes things just happen without the town's regulatory framework being consulted. So you got current land use, what's happening today. Zoning, what's allowed to happen today. The comprehensive plan talks about future land use, what we would like to see. What the state says is, so first of all, and folks pointed this out today, there's a lot of different ways to stab at a future land use plan or a future, yes.
So I was just gonna hop in on that. It's because it's what we'd like to see, but not in a made up world.
Correct.
Right. It's what we'd like to see while also recognizing what already exists. Because when somebody puts up a house, they're probably not going to return it to a farm field.
Correct.
And so I think that's where that gets tricky, is because in the 2009 map, there was a lot of green agricultural space that didn't actually reflect existing properties and housing that exists in that area. And And I think that's where the tension lies, is what our aspirations are, but we have to, in the comp plan, I think we very much need to confront what exactly exists there. In ideal world, sure, would we have no development on the waterfront? Maybe, but we have a lot of property owners on the waterfront whose houses aren't going anywhere. So like that aspirational versus practical, I think, is where the tension lies.
Absolutely, and I love that you framed it that way, because I think this committee has endeavored to go that route. There are schools of thought that center on what I call blue sky planning, right? If nothing ever went wrong, if we could fix it just exactly the way we want to fix it, this is what it would look like. That's a fun exercise, and we did a little bit of it. Let's just think about this. But then there's also implementability. We don't want to put a message out there that's not attainable, that's not achievable, right? And so lots of things go into the development of a future land use map, and there are lots of formats of a future land use map. We talked about two of them in recent years. The one that, or I'm sorry, in recent meetings, the one that sits in the comprehensive plan today, the existing future land use map, sounds weird, but the one that's in the current plan today, really thought about things as character areas. It's what I call kind of a fat marker exercise. We don't think about property lines in that conversation. We don't think about we don't get real focused on this side of the road there's going to be medium density residential, and on that side of the road there's going to be low density residential. That's a school. It happens. That's a way to do future land use map. The way that this map was developed, to the supervisor's point, took into account, what are live boundaries? A state highway is a live boundary, and it can be a delineating factor from a market standpoint, certainly from an existing land use standpoint. But all of that to say, once you land on a future land use map, we got a lot of questions about these two maps. Sorry to be wandering around, but we got a lot of questions about these two maps. Like, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 7 or 8 designations there, and there's 15 or 16 designations here. What happened to so and so? What happened to such and such? And the issue is, here we're talking about land use. Here we're talking about regulation, right? This map informs this map later, right? This map will inform the future version of this map. And so when you dig into those character areas, and I do think there's work to be done here. This is why we call it a draft, and this is why this committee is going to undertake work to be done here. If we try, yes.
So just to be clear, is this the existing future land use map, or this is the
proposed? This is the one that's in the draft today. This is the one that's in the draft today. And so it gets touching. So in the future, what's going to happen is the town is going to propose some zoning changes. And what the state law says is the town board has to create a linkage between new zoning and your future land use map as adopted, right? So if the future land use map gets adopted, the town, as part of its zoning update process, is going to have to say, well, this aligns with our comprehensive plan and its future land use map because ... It's a local determination. It's a town board determination. The planning board's going to weigh in on it the way they do in every rezoning. And the county planning board's going to weigh in on it the way they do in every zoning case. And you're going to have to make that linkage. You're going to have to say this aligns because if you never touch this map again, you never have to talk about that map again. You do not have to change your zoning because you updated a future land use map. That is not a requirement. But when you change your zoning, you have to demonstrate that you considered and determined a linkage. And so one day in the future, if you decide to update this, then you will have a new zoning map, which will not look like that, by the way, because this isn't zoning. This is land use. and this is regulation, this is zoning. And so the process between development of a future land use map, I just described to you what has to happen for you to adopt the future land use map. It's in your comprehensive plan. So this board's going to consider it. The town board's going to consider it. The county board's going to consider it. You're going to do a state environmental quality review on it. Then you're going to adopt it. Then the town board is going to determine when we should update zoning. And when you decide to update zoning, you're going to put a committee together that looks like this. That committee is going to review the comprehensive plan, the future land use map, the conditions on the ground today as they exist. Great questions at the public forum about, well, what about steep slopes? Well, what about other topography or natural assets that we want to protect by way of, if this is low density residential, we can't build a lot of houses over here because there's steep slopes and there's views that we want to protect, and all of that is possible. All of that is possible with these two, as they exist today and as they get updated. And so that future zoning committee is going to look to the comprehensive plan. They're going to look to conditions on the ground. They're going to look to local preference, and they're going to say, all right, we think the new version of this is the cat's pajamas, and we're bringing that to the town board for consideration. Then the town board's going to go through that whole process that I just described again. The town board's going to have a debate, and the town board's going to do what it needs to do to modify. They're going to refer it to the county. The county's going to come back with comments. The county has to say, yep, it's linked. Yep, it's linked. Or else you have to go through a whole other process to override some county recommendation, right? Then you have to get to state environmental quality review. And at state environmental quality review, you have to say, yep, it's linked. Yep, it's linked, right? And so through all of that process, you get through all of that process and you adopt a local law, and the local law changes the zone. So the comprehensive plan does not change zoning. The future land use map is not intended to perform as and is not designed to be a zoning map. And it is not. And so with all of that, that's probably 101, 201, and 301 comprehensive plan. But with all of that said, I'm happy to entertain questions. Jessica, did I miss anything in that conversation?
No, I think you're good.
One last thing I just want to say relative to comprehensive plans generally. And this is an ideological thing that I said in our interview when MRB Group came. I think the least important thing in a comprehensive plan is the checklist. First we do that, then we do that, then we do that, then we do that, then we do that. I think the most important things are your vision, your goals, your objectives. The vision, the goals, and the objectives tell the world and the community what you want to do. Because the day you adopt the comprehensive plan, somebody's going to walk in off the street with a new idea that wasn't in the comprehensive plan. Are you just going to say no for the next 5 years because we didn't think of it in this 14-month plan development process? Certainly not. We hope you wouldn't. And so what we tell people, and what we said at the beginning of this process, was comprehensive plan needs to be used as a filter, not a checklist. When new ideas come to the table, when new proposals come to the table, you ask yourself, how do these align with our vision? And how do these align with our priority policy areas, our focus areas? And if the answer is it doesn't really, or it doesn't much, or it doesn't enough, then we can say it. But if it aligns, even if it's not in the comprehensive plan, we can pursue it and justify it. Right? That's my closing argument.
Appreciate that. There's a lot there, but I think it was good just to refresh our minds as we dig in these next couple months. And again, for anybody who's just kind of joining, it's a quick overview of what we've been doing for the last 2 years. 3 years? 2 years?
Be 3 years in January.
3 years. And what we'll be continuing to do over the next couple of months. So, any questions for Matt on that? Any thoughts?
I have a question, a comment. I think everybody knows, we knew that it's not a zoning map, and I think many of people who I heard speak certainly know that because they're professionals in the field who've worked with this town, who've given comments on the map. And it is true that that's not a legal map, but it is supposed to be, I think the state law says zoning has to be changed, you know, we don't have to change it, but if we do, in accordance with the comprehensive planning document, including a land use map if you have it, and I read, you know, a bunch of things where, you know, people have brought lawsuits if it's not, so there is some aspect of it that, you know, the town could become challenged by. So I think it's very important that we have more of a conversation on the future land use map and the land use chapter, and we take into account the things that we hear people saying, and that some of that we feel on this committee say, this is what we see, this is what we want to see happening in our town, maybe not exactly there, but you know, that map, for example, projects that we want a very large expansion of medium density housing. Very dense, like great, you know, could be up to 8 units per acre is what it says in our draft. And so that is something that we really need to have a conversation about, because it is a big change and it might not be exactly there, but it is. And another thing that I feel is you've made the point about the low density residential, that is on a steep slope area. It's also way over in a flat agricultural area. They're really different areas, but yet, you know, we're sort of projecting that we want a similar kind of thing in both places. And I just think we should think more about those differences and why we would be moving away from a year's worth of work, making a lakeshore zone and a conservation zone. Huge amount of work went into that. A lot of people, the planning board, a special committee, everybody, to decide that we don't want to have that kind of a specification there anymore, that we actually might want to change what we have. So
I
to
don't
something
I don't
else.
think Nat said anything about, I mean, these discussions that we're gonna have on the flip, we're gonna have these discussions.
Right,
on the
I'm
future.
saying, I think that they're valuable and important to have,
Right,
and
and I
those are
don't
a
think Matt
couple.
was discarding that at
No,
all. in his
I think it's a
discussions.
couple examples of why we really need to have it, despite the fact that that is not zoning. I think that's understood.
Yeah, no,
But I appreciate the overview for everybody, especially people who may have just sort of joined in to listen to.
okay. Cause the next item is comments.
Right.
All right, anybody have any comments or other thoughts on like the overview of the comp plan? No? Okay. Then let's go in. We all have done a lot of work over the last month reviewing drafts, reviewing comments on drafts and everything. And MRB has been busy going through all those comments. Did I see we had like 80 pages of comments at one time? 18. I don't know, it's a lot of comments.
Just 8 in there.
Yeah, that's okay. I wasn't making that up, right? So let's talk, again, I do want this to be back and forth. It's just not MRB or the comp plan steering committee. It's both. We're going to be working together on this. So if you guys want to go through what you have done on the comments that we provided to date and kind of what your thoughts are on the next steps, and then we can be providing our thoughts too.
Sure.
I think that'd be great.
Well, what I will do is talk about process from our end, kind of how we got to what you've seen. And then on content specific related questions, Jessica is gonna answer those because she's been the one deepest in this draft. And so at our last meeting, the steering committee approved a process by which we solicited feedback on what effectively was the October 31st draft of the plan, which only had minor modifications from the October 17th draft. The difference between the 17th and the 31st were typographical and grammar type pickups. And so the committee was provided the opportunity to pour over that draft, to make comments, and then to review your peers' comments. And so the committee aptly pointed out we need to set a strike mark on the ground and say, add comments by this date and review comments by that date, right? And so we did receive a significant number of comments, as Liz points out, and we received feedback from committee members. Jessica, order of magnitude number of consensus based comments, which were those that received at least including the commenter endorsement by 6 committee members. How many?
I would say about 18 or so comments. That also included some comments that we had already addressed as well. That just wasn't reflected in the 1017 draft.
So about 18 areas of just very significant consensus. 6 people or more on this committee said this should be changed and updated. Those were have already been incorporated into the draft, and we can go through those if you like. The remainder have been consolidated to effectively say these were proposed changes that were not included in the draft. And they're provided on the SharePoint drive as well, just so that you can see kind of what your peers offered up that you did not include. And so the committee's work from here is really twofold. One, to determine of the remaining comments, the comments that did not receive 6, say, endorsements on the first pass, or commenter plus 5 endorsements on the first pass, what do we want to continue discussion on? Committee will make that determination. And then there's a trove of public comments that the committee, that we're going to walk you through how we think you might prioritize those. Spoiler alert, something very similar to what you just went through on your own committee comments. So we can do this in one of 2 ways. Jessica can walk you through all 18 of the changes to the draft now, or we can just entertain questions on what you've already seen relative to those changes.
You guys think? It's not a me decision. So this is a committee. Roxanne?
I just have a clarification question for now, which is, and I was asking Jessica this by email, just to make sure I understand. So the document that is on the SharePoint that says all draft comments, those are all of the comments that were made on the 1017, 1031 through 12:1. All the comments that everybody on the committee made that weren't 6 votes and incorporated. Is that correct? So we could find them all there?
So it's from only solely the 1017 draft, right? The 1031 draft, if I recall correctly, was right at the very end where we showed you it, and it was right before your public hearing. So there wasn't much that, at least from my knowledge, that you guys had created comment on in the draft itself on that 1031 Adobe draft. All the comments that you guys have done has been on that 1017 draft that is linked online. So that is all the comments that I have pulled in that all drafts comment.
Through December 1st, through the last round of people adding comments.
Right. 12:1, I think it was. I pulled
Right.
all those comments off. It
But
was about 400.
And those page numbers are not the current page numbers though, because they're page numbers pulled off of, they're not the current page numbers for the newest draft.
Correct. Correct.
So that makes it a little hard to go back through, but anyway.
And
Yes.
that's the 171 page document, Jessica.
Yeah.
And it's called all draft
All draft.
comments.
Yeah.
comments.
1123 all draft
The
comments.
page numbers in that one,
Are-
100, they line up with the 17 October
Right,
version.
so if you want to really go back and see,
Right.
we have to
If
compare. So it's gonna
if you
take
want,
a little-
I'm a kind of brute force guy. And I took her, she had them by page they came from, and
Yeah,
I munched them into a 33 page Word document. And I've actually gone through and figured out where the new page numbers match up
oh,
to.
great. Well, thank
So
you.
if you want, I will send that to Niels to share with everybody.
That would be
That's-
super helpful, cause I
Yeah.
definitely wanna do that.
So well,
Need to have a
because
round.
I couldn't, to me, it was a fight to look at this
Yeah,
171 pages. I first looked at it and I was gonna start to print it and there was a few comments and a lot of white space. And I says, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So that's why I just copied and pasted into a Word document. And I went from about 170 pages down to 33 pages. But
that-
then I sat
it's
down
the
with,
Newest draft.
right, it's the
page
newest
numbers.
draft and because
Tells where
page
that
numbers
goes.
are different.
That's
So I
good.
sat there with two screens. I had my son-in-law set me up with two screens so I could look at the 17 October and the new stuff and figure out the page numbers. I will finish tightening this up and get it out to everybody so you can sit there and it'll tell you what page number to go to.
That is,
Or if it was specific, like a policy or something like that, I've got the policy number in there so you know where you're going back to and this kind of stuff to help clean it up.
you're a hero, Carl.
Well, I have more time to play with
Right,
than a lot of the rest of
I
you.
think I need to do that before I'm ready to.
Yeah, well, I will get
Discussions
it.
of things.
It'll probably take me a day or two to finish
I
getting all the
think we can
numbers in
wait.
there, but I will get it out to everybody.
Thank you so much.
And Jessica, just while we have you, to clarify, the 11/23 draft revisions, that PDF document, that's the edits that you made based off of the consensus of 5 or 6 people.
Right,
Six.
with 6
Or
people,
more.
and I incorporated the 6 committee comments into that Word draft to help you guys, just see the comment within the document itself.
So just because something is not addressed, then that doesn't mean it won't get addressed. It just wasn't agreed upon by 6 or more folks, committee members, so it wasn't an audit.
So in that document, there's not any other comments, except for the ones you left, like not all the other ones, they're just summarized on that long document that. We'll go
Carl.
back to using
Yes.
Carl's thing to decide what we wanna speak to in each. Okay, that's very helpful, thank you.
Okay. Do we wanna? I don't know how much time folks had a chance to dig into this. It's 6:15. There's not much on our agenda besides reviewing this latest draft. So I personally don't necessarily want to go comment by comment. But I think if there's ones that we want to specifically talk about, I have no problem discussing them further. If there's something really concerning.
Is it worth getting to consensus of 6 or more on some of these high ones that already have 5? So 4 or 5 and knock these out, because it might just be that somebody ran out of time, not because of anything else, and maybe we can just get to consensus on those. So we have.
So the ones, so that would be on the 171 page document, correct?
It's the blue ones where are
It's
5
blue,
Aqua and
orange.
orange, yeah.
Yes, Maxa.
I think that's fine if we can all get to it so we can see it, but, I'd like to reserve some time before the meeting is over to just talk about the plan forward, like how we'll attack. Both the public comments and the ones that some of the committee members still have in the list that they feel are important. Maybe in sections or something so that we don't come in having to know about the whole document for each meeting. So like a plan like that, so we can know what we're working on each time, and that will really help. I think to be as really well prepared, and that will make us all more efficient. At least it would really help me be more prepared, which I'm sure you'd all appreciate, so that I don't take up so much time. But anyway, I just think that, okay, we're working on, land use and whatever, or things that are grouped sort of the same, natural resources, climate, a couple things. And then you really focus on those, you pull them out of the comment list, then we look at the public comments on them. I think that could help, but it's just a suggestion.
Okay.
I like to talk about it.
Do we? So I would perhaps suggest that we talk through these comments that have 5 or 4, see if we can get any of those to consensus for the next half hour. That gives us the last 15 minutes to talk about some plans. I do agree. I think it would be helpful to kind of have a sense of what we're going to talk about ahead of each meeting. I personally think we need to have one meeting just dedicated to the future land use map and land use section.
Agreed.
Yep.
But then there's 5 other meetings and we probably want to save the last meeting or 2 at least for seeker and wrapping things up. So I'm fine with putting a place together.
This group won't have to advocate secret.
We don't.
That's all we're counting.
Oh, that's your
Right.
town
Board,
board.
yeah.
Sorry.
Your other
Thinking
hat.
about- That's my other, yeah. All right, easier. So we
Just
have,
one last question. Is it possible to project the list of the 5 that we're thinking about or something? Like, do we have to all find it? Does everybody have it or? Just wanna make
I
sure we
have
can
it.
see it to talk about it.
I haven't.
Okay, I'll see if I can get it to work on my.
and make sure Jessica sent a refresher of the link. That's how I had to get in.
Right, yeah.
And then it gets you a code.
Yeah, I
They
think
to
it'll
pull
work.
in the code.
Okay.
And thank you, Jessica, for doing that.
You're not.
So we're
That's
looking
what
at the
I just wanted to make
11.
sure Everybody was.
1123, all draft comments. It's 171 pages.
Share mine too, though.
That has
Um,
like huge gap
This is
spaces in
right.
between.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
each page, it's summarized by each page that had a comment on it.
Okay.
The first page says color key and has green, aqua, orange, gray.
Right,
So that's the document we'll look at.
but then don't we need to see the context of the document, so I guess maybe that's what I was meaning, like if. We can see the the
Oh.
context of the.
The
comment,
17,
So
yeah,
you-
what does it actually apply to? Yeah.
Because it's hard to tell like what you think about it if you don't know what the context.
Yeah,
is.
I
Yeah.
think Jessica can share her screen.
Jessica, can you share the 1017? It's gonna be not great, not super readable, and we might be able to zoom a bit.
Right, no, just so even we can, or maybe we can open both at once on.
Yeah.
You might see those two.
You're talking about the 1017 draft with all the comments, correct?
Yeah,
But,
Okay.
I mean, I don't even know if you can just show it without all the
Oh,
comments, and then we can just zoom over
not
to
like
the
that.
5 comment ones.
I just
So
saw
it's easier to
Okay.
read. Hide this, if you can hide,
Jessica sent.
hide them around, looking and hide them by color, probably not, but.
Right, because some of the comments will just delete this.
Right, yeah, so if we just,
It's-
I mean, so just
We-
maybe hiding them all for now, and we just read off the page, the 4 and 5s that we're considering.
Okay. Is that doable for you all?
So yeah, that it's like we don't know who. What 5 or what 4, so are we just
Are we
all
going
raising our
page by
hands
page?
so that like. Cause we have.
Oh, right, that's
That's
true, we
right.
don't know who voted.
Well-
Double vote.
yeah,
Well, it doesn't matter about double voting.
Yeah,
in a
so
group
we're-
if you've got
we're-
6
gonna
people
just-
in
we're
there,
gonna discuss
yeah,
it.
6
Right,
people, that's
right.
it.
Just
Yeah.
doing consensus.
Right,
Yeah.
we're just doing it
Okay.
today, that was
Okay.
good clarification.
the first example of a 5 comment is on page 13,
Mhm.
the last one from Kim Moore.
That says grammar, maybe a matrix. that-
Yeah, that references the various points of nexus. Let's see, where's it at here?
She gave too many.
Hard to, yeah, it's hard to read. Let's see. It's impossible.
It actually applies under element C, the last, where we had the appendix XX. And then. Yeah, that's up, you got it right at the top up there. That's what the comment talked to, and I haven't you done that with that whole table of the kind of the cross references and that?
Yeah, so
Read it.
I
What do
th
you read?
I think it's just more grammar and semantics of it that she's just referring to make it clear as to like what the matrix and what the nexus is.
So like it's the various sort of overlaps, that was the matrix that I had originally, I think, asked about, that showed sort of the overlaps for each of the objectives and all. Is that?
That's appendix A, right?
that what we're
Right,
talking-
that's the
is that what
appendix
you're
A.
talking
Yes,
about?
that's what we're talking about,
Like, this is
yeah.
the reflection, so I don't know. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes, it's
I know it's. there's a reflection.
the statement is, can you scroll up just a smidge, Jessica?
Thank you.
The statement is, as a result, there are goals and policies that overlap between the elements described below. in appendix, there is a matrix that references the various nexus, and Kim's comment was, that's a confusing way of saying that.
Agreed.
So we
right.
could simply say,
Appendix A now.
overlaps are highlighted in appendix A.
Perfect. I vote for that.
It's fine, yeah.
Clear.
Yeah.
Clear.
Next item.
Time.
And Jessica, are you capturing what we're saying here?
Yep, I'm writing it down.
All right. So the next one is on page 14. There's actually 2 blue areas on there. I think we'll just go with the blues if that's okay and make a pass through, or do you want to do?
I would grab everything while we're here, to be
Yeah.
honest, across our
Okay.
pages.
Well, the orange, or the first orange one is on the top of page 14 then. From Karen Meter.
I'll scroll up some, Jessica.
Oh, right here. Okay.
You know, in that effort, the last page, I had a comment too that wasn't addressed. I brought this up a few times. I think it's really important. Almost every single day you see advances in modes of transportation, and we're not acknowledging that. Tesla and Waymo are just announcing more and more cities that they're expanding to. So I think to be completely silent on the driverless vehicles, or even the vehicles that have drivers but are fully controlled by the software rather than the driver.
Are we there?
But is that?
No, I
No,
don't.
we're
That's
About
different.
natural resources.
Yeah.
This is on natural
Yeah, we're up
resources.
top.
She was saying it's on the
But
page.
it was on the
before.
page before.
Oh,
you
on the
flipped
page
over.
before.
I think it was page 10, whatever page we were on previously.
Page 13 is where we're on. The very top of that would be, yeah.
Oh, up here, right here. Sorry. Oh, go back down, Jess. Keep going.
You're going up, page 10, right?
Okay, no, the page where you.
It was page
just were
13.
Agreed to the, page 13. The
It's
very top of that page, right there.
Very first comment.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, scroll
Yeah.
down a bit. We can't see it, so can you scroll down a bit? There you
I
go.
mean, I don't think it's a critical life-changing thing if it's left out, but I think it will look deficient, particularly in a few years when we haven't acknowledged it.
So this page is overviewing the element.
Right.
It's not talking about policy, this one. This is just saying transportation addresses future desires of the system. So we're gonna take up a problem description, or we may need to address that deeper in the document.
And maybe it doesn't go here.
And you probably did highlight it in that section as
Yeah,
well.
probably,
So we
or
can
at
get
least
it
I did
there.
at some point. I think it should be somewhere.
So maybe we could take basically a poll on that, which is, if we agree with Karen, and I do, I think we want to make sure that that gets incorporated into the transportation, and maybe you guys can do that for us. Which is various modes of the transportation's evolving. We don't need to even
Right.
delve into what kind, how it's
That's true.
evolving. But there's evolutions in automation and whatever, and delivery. And that I think, and then also, your pedestrian and bicycle safety considerations should just go into the transportation, make sure they're in
I agree.
Yeah, I think that makes
there.
sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
consensus. Yeah, just keep going.
All right, Jess.
But
I-
now we're on page 14.
That's fine, we only have a million more to go, we're getting there.
We're getting this pattern down so that we can make progress, yeah.
And I'll just caution, I appreciate the approach, but I'll just caution you. If these are if we're hitting items that have 1 or 2 notes on them,
It's gonna really expand.
March 31st is no longer a realizable goal, so. Just feel the rhythm of what we got going here, but that, I'm not.
Do
trying to
we-
steer one way or the other.
Well, I thought we're
Are
just
we-
doing the blues and the or like that one.
Yeah, how many blues, just out of
That's what
curiosity, do we
Caitlin
have?
has suggested.
How many blues?
Wait, we're.
Just because we've done this for 15 minutes and we
Right.
went through 2.
I mean, I would say there were just as much blues as there were greens.
Yeah.
So
So about 20, maybe 25.
I'm wondering if there's a different way to do this,
Right.
because nobody's reviewed these yet.
Right.
Well, it's I'm wondering if maybe we could do a 2-week, yes, there's some amount of time to give. Review time, which is, I think it's a lot easier to review comments as opposed to reading the whole document.
Right.
And so maybe we could go with a fresh slate and just vote on the items that have reached at least 3 votes. And see if we can get to consensus on those.
So review Carl's exhibit,
Right.
Yeah.
see which ones you agree with.
Put on it at home.
Yeah.
And be like, do I agree with this? Yes or no? And add votes. And maybe take a vote on literally every single one.
Could you,
Yeah, if we were getting Carl's document.
So that we could
Makes
find
it easier to find, yeah,
so we could trace back, yeah.
yeah.
I feel like that's more
Yeah,
efficient,
no, we get, that's. what
Oh,
we
yeah,
gotta do.
yeah.
but I wanna make sure everybody looks at the comments, because again, this is a consensus, this is a group decision, it's just
Yeah.
that one person, so. If
Well-
we've got time
Right.
to do it, I think that would be a good worthwhile exercise as a next step, and then that would further refine what is gonna happen in the next couple meetings outside of the big discussion point that we know is gonna come with the future land use map.
So this is like a partial step towards resolving the
Yes.
comments.
Yeah.
The ones that I mean, I have to admit, I did not go through and vote for any because I was out of the country and I didn't have access and I couldn't. So, I'm happy to do that and I think it's a good idea. But then, people still might have comments that didn't get 3 or 4 votes.
Yes.
And then that'll be next step is when we're doing that along with the other. So I think it's a good plan. How do we do the vote?
Right.
Like, how do we record it so Jessica?
Can we,
I don't know.
Yeah,
That is
right.
can we,
Exactly, I'm just.
can we do a,
Jessica, if Carl, we
Can
haven't
we
seen
create
Carl's
this
exhibit,
document?
so Carl, if Carl
Yes.
has,
Give me
uh,
thumbs up.
if we PDF Carl's exhibit, then people could literally just go in and thumbs up the comments that they agree with, right?
She can put it into.
it's gotta be like the same shareable format that the 1017 draft was in.
Right.
Right. If you have it in a Word doc, Carl,
Yes, it
then
is.
I could convert it into a PDF that is something that you guys can comment on, just like 1017, then yeah, we could do it that way.
I feel like that might help you, Jess, too.
Mhm.
Make this easier instead of trying to keep notes on what we're doing. If we can all
Right.
go and do that.
Right. So Carl, do you have all the comments or just the color coded?
All of them.
You did them all.
Yeah, I cut and pasted every page out of that.
Do you want to pay attention?
I would say we vote on everything.
Vote on them all
Vote
now.
them all.
Yeah.
Vote 'em all.
Yeah.
And then if, in this round, to your point, Roxanne, if in this round it still doesn't achieve consensus, then we'll have a set of, issues to discuss.
So this is like 200 and something comments, so.
Yeah, there's actually about 400
Oh,
comments.
well, then we need enough time to
Right.
go
But
back through that all.
I would
Okay.
think the first meeting, we'd probably want to go with the greens, the 5 comments and the 4 comment
And
levels.
the threes, yeah.
And I don't have any indication of the 3s, she.
We
she
just
color-coded-
classified 5s and 4s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she color coded them
I think
for
that's
us.
What
Yeah.
if we just did that as the vote first, and then, people are reading through it, but then it wouldn't take us as long, and we could
Yeah.
maybe get
Get
those.
that chunk out of the way.
As you're saying, Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I would say let people do as much as they can, and if you
Yeah.
can only have X amount of time, do the. blues
Start
and
with the
greens.
blues
But
and
if you could
greens.
get every single voted on, get every single voted on, because you're gonna have to at some point. And so if you have more time in the holiday season, then that's to do it. And for some people, that's actually true, because you're scheduled for different, so.
Or maybe we don't have to do a voting process for all of the comments, but if people beyond the ones we get to consensus in their particular chapters or that they may feel really strongly about it, then we can each come with our list of
Right,
things
short ones that,
that we
yeah,
want to target, yeah.
So I would.
Maybe there's another approach, so I'm saying to have to vote through 400.
Well, I never disagree with an elected official, it's such a rarity, but in this case, I would say, I don't think you are going to have to vote on every single one ever. I think the committee can decide how that goes. But certainly I think the 5 and 4s are something you really need to pay attention to, because that's where we got so close. So how about this? Because I want to think about what's coming up ahead of everybody in their family lives and their personal lives. And B, what Jessica can reasonably get accomplished in a achievable amount of time. So if we can get this from Niels, before the end of the week, then before the end of the day on Monday, the 15th, Jessica, would it be possible to create that tool by the end of the day on Monday if we got this from Niels tomorrow or Friday?
So you're talking about the
Yep.
Carl's.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So
I'll get it to Neil's on Friday, one or the other.
So we will have that tool available to you Monday afternoon. And then what we will ask is, before you hang up your stockings with care on 12/24, so that gives you about 10 days to review the 5s and 4s. Could we do that? Is that achievable?
You're probably talking 35 to 40 items.
Okay, that, yeah.
So that's the aqua and the orange.
Yeah.
Just for the folks who are keeping.
The one, Jessica, the one issue I had on my computer, I didn't have orange for whatever reason on my laptop, so it's yellow. You'll have to deal with that, but I didn't have.
Fives now.
It's
No.
4s and 5s.
Okay, somebody said three.
It was 5s and 4s, and then the only other category is just less than 4.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
I thought someone said three, I'm sorry.
So
I guess I'm just a little concerned. And I'm not just speaking for myself, but there's a number of us spend a lot of time providing comments, and maybe for various reasons, they didn't get 4 or 5. Are they now just gonna be totally disregarded?
no,
No.
so here's the approach, right? So the approach is, you all will get us your feedback on the 5s and 4s by December 24th. We will take the time between December 24th and
14.
and
7th?
7th, let's say, to automatically, like, once again, just like we just did, translate new consensus information. Those are just going to move right over, back right into the draft. So what you will be left with are those comments that after 2 rounds of review have not achieved a consensus of 6.
Well, see, but that's my concern, is that reviewing only 35 comments, if we only are reviewing the 4s and the 5s, there's a lot of work that has to be done. So I actually share their concerns. I'm wondering if maybe we can break this up into 2 sections and say, please review all the comments, because I know there are people who, because it was between the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and the Sunday after Thanksgiving, participated here, but may not have been able to participate in the next phase. And if the more things we can get consensus on, then we don't have to have a conversation about those. If it hits 6, it just gets into the document. And I think there are things actually in the document we could hit consensus on, but if people haven't reviewed them, you can't have an opinion.
Yeah,
Right.
so, I mean, as long as we can hold close to some of these dates, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
no one's gonna review, or very few people will be able to review 400 comments by December
I agree.
24th. So, but I do think then, I mean,
Can we do this in a 2-step process?
you can do whatever you like.
I'm just, because I recognize what you're saying. And I don't want to come into this next meeting in January. So this is what I'm kind of thinking. Maybe for right now, we'd concentrate on by the 24th on the 5 and the 4s consensus. If you can do more, great, but I know not everybody could. On the 14th, we'll come in with the revised draft from Jessica addressing the 4 and the 5s. But we can plan right now on discussion for the future land use map. And then after the 7th, or after the 14th meeting, we then take the next 2 weeks to look at the rest of the comments. So that on the 2nd January meeting, we then have a smaller list of comments that haven't
prepared.
received, what?
Yeah. That could easily be, yes.
Is it fair to close the 5s and 4s on December 24th? Issue a new tool that is the 3s and below. We'll issue that quickly thereafter, not on December 24th or 25th, but we'll issue it quickly thereafter. And then you can start as soon as that tool is released. we know, I love the idea of coming in at that first January meeting and working
I
on,
think we need to talk
thing.
about this.
so that gives you
Definitely.
about 5 weeks.
Right.
To address the 3s and below, or the 4s and below.
And
Below
some of the
three.
comments that we haven't reached a consensus on,
Tied
it
to
could
that.
be the future land use
Yeah.
map, so.
I was actually gonna say, if we do the land use map and the chapter, because the chapter goes with it in terms of what.
solve.
I think it
50
could be,
comments.
it could be, I
Right.
think so. And so I think that's a really good plan, the chapter, because it goes with, the designations go with it, it's an integral discussion. And then we'll see where we are with comments, I think that makes sense, because it could be a chunk of ones that maybe people didn't all 6 say, yeah, because it didn't make sense to them, or it was complicated, or they wanted to talk, they were comfortable, trying to know more about it, so I think that's a good suggestion, was I support it.
And out of the roughly 400 comments, there's probably 80 to 100 are just like typos and that kind of stuff, or change the tense on a word and that kind of stuff. I don't know if there's a way to weed them out of there.
No, I thought we already did that.
Yeah, we get, I mean, typos,
There's a-
typos, certainly, we should be getting monumentally close to not having any more typos in there. But
Can those just be like automatically
if it's
done and
deleted,
disregarded?
so-
out? If it's just typography.
there's a-
stuff,
if
and
it's
then
a-
I don't,
Tenses that are wrong.
yeah.
if it's a typo or a tense, that's just not, we can just isolate those and get it
Yeah, our
done.
consensus to fix.
But I will say, things like the last one where it was like confusing sentence.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
should
That's-
be.
We're gonna, we could end up playing, because we could change it, now it's not confusing to these 3, but more confusing to
Right.
these 4, right?
Leave them in there, but
Okay. The typos and tense we'll deal with. Now, that'll consolidate some comments as well. I do think that between the future land use map and that, we might end up with something more
Yeah.
manageable,
Yeah.
3 and below.
And then you were gonna tell us when we're done with this, your thoughts on the public's comment,
Yeah.
how to deal with
I
it.
always love those.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I just pipe up too, in terms of planning for future meetings. I think that we need to balance the line between wanting to hear from the public and also needing to reserve the time in our meeting to get the work done.
Mhm.
Because, my recommendation would be that in public hearing, we drop it to 3 minutes like we do for the town board. We can always accept written comments if people have additional comments. And potentially put a time limit of 30 minutes or 25 minutes or whatever, something that's reasonable. I mean, if people want to make comments, I'm not trying to cut them out of making comments, but we need to preserve our ability to actually continue to work. And so I think there's a balance to be had in that. And I think having consensus tonight about how we're going to handle the next meeting, as opposed to like at the beginning of the meeting, figuring it out.
And I think
makes
that,
sense.
I think that we could say that and, let the public know for that very reason. Please keep giving us written ones. I mean, the town board only lets comments go for like 10 minutes, right? So,
We don't have a.
I thought there was a limit.
There is a limit, but
Yeah.
by consensus, you can keep it going
Right.
longer. And for the most part, if
You
we
know,
have the space, I don't shut it down. I
Right.
have actually put limits on it. And then
Right.
the one time I put limits on it, there was one person commenting and the
Right.
limit was functionally useless.
Okay, but it's written that it
It
is,
is
but
written,
so 15 minutes would be 5 3-minute
Yeah.
comments. And so maybe we just let people know, we definitely still want to hear from you, but
Yeah.
we need,
Time to work
do
as a
that.
committee on.
And also, like, I think once we define how we're doing the meetings, like now we're saying, okay, January, we are gonna work on this. Then the public can know that and they can come and listen. I mean, they can't, talk too much, but if they have their targeted comments and they can also submit the comments ahead so it's all part of it. And I think those things will help and keep the public engaged, which I think it's great that we have public engagement.
Yeah, we want to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Get your opinion. You're our one person of public we've got.
Wake me up now.
I'm just kind of feedback. We've got you here as a target. I like, does that work better?
I don't tend to talk a lot, except just one-on-one, so I'm not as likely to do that. But I do have one comment that I'm thinking of. When is there going to be an updated draft on the website that the public can look at? Because the one that was there is before you even did all the,
That's a good point.
Yeah. So
well,
we have
not just the comments, but a lot of the proofreading.
Yeah, so right.
And that was driving me crazy.
Exactly.
It was such a mess.
It was.
So I'll did the town board approve the amended scope? Has that happened yet? Okay,
Yes.
good.
last night. I
Um,
signed it, but the
It was emailed to you today.
Thank you.
It's in your
Um,
inbox.
So that contemplates two more committee drafts, right? And so we can come at the drafts in one of a couple ways. One, we could produce a draft now of the 6 of the consensus driven comments and the typos and the tenses, clean all that stuff up. And over the next 2 weeks, produce that and put it out there that the public now could begin re-commenting on.
That would be one of your drafts, though.
That would be one.
I would
I
do that.
don't think we
Because-
would put a new
One-
draft out until we work on that.
Yeah, the land, I think a lot of public comments that we've heard is related to the land use chapter and the land use map.
I would target the end of January.
That's what I was thinking too.
Right. So I would say that, January 31st and March 31st are your 2 drafts, because one of your drafts is the draft that's going to the town board.
And just to clarify for you and anybody who's listening, it's still, once this committee is ready to make a recommendation to the town board, it's still in job form in front of the town board. And then there's the opportunity still to provide comments, so.
Yeah.
I think targeting the end of January would be better for the public, because we'll get a lot of these comments in and there'll be a better draft than what. It's very confusing, the one we got the other day, because so many edits have been
Yeah,
made
right,
because of the
that's
6, not because it's confusing
Yeah,
as is,
yeah,
but just because of the track changes, and I don't think you guys want to review that, so I think January 31st would be a good target for the next draft. Okay.
Yeah, so end of January, inclusive of future land use map, and I
Yes.
do appreciate your point about not limiting necessarily or hindering or stifling debate, but something's got to give on one end or the other, right? So either we engage in full and deep and robust conversations with the public and then go until we're done talking about the future land use map, which might be much later than 7 or 7:30, or focus, comment, and then give the public something new to comment on after they see the future land use map, right? That's the committee's iteration. So we will plan on a January 31st draft and then a March 31st draft. So given that, I think what the schedule forward kind of looks like. First January meeting, we're gonna talk about the future land use map and come to consensus around changes to that map. The second January meeting, we're going to sit down with the new aggregated changes, the new consensus driven changes. And let the committee begin discussion around and share with you the new consensus based on your reviews, right? After that January meeting, we're gonna release after that second January meeting, I should say, because we don't want to flood you with too many things. So after that second January meeting, we're gonna release the public comments roll, right? And let you run through a similar exercise on that. The public comments will be aggregated and you will move through those and highlight those that you agree with. We've got consensus level agreement on this set of comments. And that enables us to move forward with the draft. Then have similar discussion about areas where we did not get consensus level, right? So at the second February meeting and the first March meeting, we'll have to wrap up discussion on items that still have no consensus after these 3 rounds of voting. Because that second March meeting is review of and approval of the steering committee draft.
So just one thing though, I think a lot of comments, at least the ones I heard orally and read, submitted from the public, have to do with the land use map, or a reasonable chunk of them. So if we wait until after we work on that to then look at the public's comments, I think we're gonna be spinning wheels back. I mean, I think we need to look at the public's comments on the land use chapter and the land use map while we work on it in January, because otherwise yeah, it's too disconnected, yeah, so, other than that, what you said, I think makes a lot of sense, but I do think that those things need to be coupled, so.
Jessica,
All of January is our work on that.
Jessica, can we isolate those public comments that are associated with land?
I could pick them out. Yep.
So we'll have those to you ahead of your January meeting, your first January.
That would be great.
I think that would be cool. Were you gonna say something? I thought I saw a hand over here.
That's what I was gonna ask if we could. pull them out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does that schedule that Matt just laid out seem reasonable and ways to kind of get to the end of this, but not skipping over things? Yeah, right.
Just one thing, just looking at it. It's never just one thing, okay, right, but, we have it March 11th and then March 25th. Are the two meetings that just popped on to the calendar of what Neil sent out. So if the final draft is gonna be the 31st, we wouldn't really be.
Oh, I just mean, it meant the second March.
So you're gonna have it for the second March meeting.
You'll have
Okay.
the adoptable draft at the.
The
Yeah,
draft
I
that's
mean, unless
recommended.
we have
was
one more
recommended to the town
meeting,
board.
Sorry,
But,
recommended.
okay, all right, just checking that's probably what you. But
Yeah,
or else
sorry, yeah.
Maybe we needed, one other meeting after we had time to read that to say, okay, and move it forward officially.
Let us aim to do what we already did, which
Yeah.
is be done by March 31st.
Yeah, no, as long as that can work, but our
Um,
scheduled meetings are the 11th and 25th in March, right?
What are the February dates?
The February dates are, the
School break.
That's what I was just.
the
saying.
11th
The 11th and
and the
25th.
25th, so one's probably over school break, right?
No.
It's right around school break.
But-
Oh,
We're off
We're
the
in.
but
16th.
this is it, okay,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
good, well, that was.
it worked out.
President's Day weekend is school winter break for Trumansburg at least. I don't know about it.
Right, I think for lots of schools.
Okay.
Just a format question for everybody. What I'm putting together here, when I copied these, I took Jessica's stuff. So like page 14, that's the 17th of October draft. That's where it came from, or where she had just page by page with a lot of white space. That's the page number. And then I'll put behind it the new page, it'll be something of 192, like 90 of 192. That's
The current page.
That's the current,
Yeah,
the
11,
current 11/23
Yeah,
draft.
if you just put like a little note at the top of your document.
Yeah, what the format is. Yeah, key, I'll put that with the color
The
key. Yep,
exclamation key.
yes,
Thanks, Carl.
yep.
I have to go, I'm gonna go try and see. Kate and Russ.
Yeah, go. Okay. All right. Well, I'm feeling better. We have a direction. And a plan of action that at least it sounds like folks are on board with. With the amount of work that we're gonna have to do on our own, but still come together as a group for the next couple months, so. Anything else that we need to talk about? I think that was everything I had pulled down on the agenda.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. This has been a long 3 years, for everybody but Lori.
No, we didn't
And-
even meet her. Actually.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe
Lori
we could.
is our amazing new clerk for planning, zoning, and administration support for DPW and planning and building permits.
Great.
So
Hi,
if you
welcome.
need a building permit, she's your gal. Sorry. But I wanted to say, thank you so much. This is really, a labor of time and commitment to your community. I'm grateful you're willing to do it. It's not easy and it's certainly not, always not controversial. So I appreciate your commitment to sticking through and keeping the path. Happy holiday season.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, you're fine.
Good luck to Kaden.
Have fun.
So if you didn't get that
I'm sure.
contract, please.
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
know.
I'm sure. Haven't been in my office.
That's no problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? I think the meeting today was good. I'm appreciative that you guys showed up. I know there was a lot of reasons why others weren't here. So hopefully we can continue to get quorums going forward so that we can get keep this moving.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
please, public, keep coming.
Maybe like make sure, we should just check in to make sure everybody can do those dates. And really try to make it work if they can, because we do want it to make it well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've been working on this together for 3 years now, so let's finish this out together.
Yeah, so it's maybe.
And then we can talk about who wants to join on a zoning change.
Maybe send an email to the committee just so they.
Yeah.
Say, hey, if you really can't do it.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anybody who wanted to step away, but I.
No, I mean
respect
for
that.
to make sure
Yes.
that.
Oh,
these-
the
these
timing.
meetings
Okay.
will work.
Yes.
Yeah, like a.
And if you. Situations change, if you are running into issues going forward, please let us know. We can figure it out. Nobody's forced to stay on this committee, but I would love to keep this group together for
It might
the
be
next couple months.
good to send a short email, just, saying, this is what we did, we hope everybody can come, but also the plan.
Yeah,
That we just outlined, like before, not until we get the minutes, but so that the committee who isn't here knows about it.
Niels,
So-
I kept notes of like kind of the action plans for the next 6 meetings. I'm assuming you did too.
I have, I rely on Chris, so I also. rely-
But maybe just,
Add in
just for what
too.
we're doing
Okay.
through January, this is the January plan to
So
get
like
to that.
Monday.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's not
Or something.
too overwhelming, but they can know what to look for, what we're gonna get, what's coming in January. That would be great
Uh-oh.
if some of them write it.
It might also be worth, can we put it on the comprehensive plan?
Oh, yeah,
Like,
that would be good.
just kind of like upcoming meetings. I forget how we have it,
Yeah.
like the titles.
Yeah.
But just so if somebody goes up to that website, including when the anticipated drafts are,
Oh,
so.
right, yes, because right now with paper.
Yeah.
Right,
schedule
right,
paper,
so just
we
kind
can
of think
that.
about like
Yep.
quick notes, just bullet points or whatever over the next.
I think that's a good idea for the public, but maybe coming from you or Niels or you and Ann, like, just
I'll
saying,
send it to Ann.
here's what.
He's still in charge of this.
No, well, you could write it and do it for both. I
Yeah.
always do that on my committees with
Yeah,
the co-chair.
I'll talk to her.
But just like, so, coming from like, here it
Okay.
is, and it's got a good plan, just
Okay.
getting everybody rah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Rally the troops. so to
Rally
speak.
the troops, exactly. Merry
All right.
Christmas, and here's your job.
Yes,
Yes.
here's your job for the next.
10
Okay.
days, yes.
Yeah, and
I
I just wanted to say thank you to Jessica for answering the questions and for like working on, it's very complex and I'm sure difficult, so thank you for all your hard work.
It certainly simplified for me, even your 170 pages, to be able to just cut and paste into a Word document. Because
Yeah.
you had already pulled them all off of that 17 draft for March or October 17th stuff, so.
We also recognize that you kind of jumped into
That you
this.
Step
So
into it, like.
we really appreciate you stepping up and taking over, doing a great job and dealing with us for the last couple months.
Yes.
So, and
That
thank you,
was part
Matt,
of it. I know it was.
for leading the
difficult
team.
To, yeah, to
But-
jump in the middle.
With that,
Are we-
I want to wish everybody happy holidays, happy new year, and we'll see you in 2026. But I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Motion to adjourn, and you've got the second.
And also, thanks Liz for running the meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, all right, all in
Thank
favor?
you. Bye.
Out of here.
Take care, everyone.